Welcome to my video. This video was made for the class Media 1020, and in this project I will be analyzing a scene from one of my favorite movies and analyzing the sound within the film. So I have chosen one of my favorite films, Kill Bill Volume 1 by Quentin Tarantino. Released in 2003, Uma Thurman's character, the bride, is out on a quest for revenge for her previous assassins that tried to kill her on her wedding day. The sound designer for this film was Harry Cohen. Alright, let's get started with this first scene. This scene in particular is very violent and very Quentin Tarantino-ish. In this scene, the bride has traveled to Japan to find Oren, one of the assassins that tried to kill her. Let's watch a little bit of this first. Okay, so immediately in this scene we have a lot going on. With the bride on the ground and the people entering from the top, we got lots of sound effects like the door slamming, the footsteps going on. In addition, we have the intense music building up, building suspense. Once again, this section of the scene is building up the intensity with both the music and the shots. As you can see, the camera is focusing in on Oren and the bride's face to make this scene very intense along with the music. This here is an example of a perfect Quentin Tarantino-ism. Specifically, the zoom in part. Let's see that again real quick. Yeah, so basically, that effect that Quentin Tarantino does with the shot and the sound is something he puts in many of his movies. Another element he put in the Kill Bill series that is only found in the series is the little intense eye thing you see there. I mean, you see those red, orange glowing eyes and you know something bad's gonna happen. Let me add in, this is a non-diegetic sound only heard by the audience, but it is certainly symbolizing the intensity in this scene. And what do you know? Something bad did happen. She chopped her arm off. This scene is very dependent on the sound effects. From the sword slicing through her arm, to the blood spurting out, to the swords being drawn. In addition, another Tarantino zoom in is added into Oren's face to show a little fear and a little questioning about what is she going to do next. Alright, let's continue watching this film. Throughout this segment, the music in the scene is intensifying, both in the musical sense and the theme and mood sense. You are feeling more intense, that between the bride and Oren, the looks that they're giving each other with the music, that there's certainly something going on there. In addition, the music sounds very warlike, almost symbolic, that the bride is ready to go to war with her former assassins that tried to kill her. Once again, another Tarantino element added in some of his action thriller movies is a little bit of comedy. As you see right there, as Oren tells the Charlie Brown dressed Asian man to leave before the chaos gets worse.
McGee.
What I saw in this little snippet of the fight and the rest of the fight is Tarantino's influences from Japan, specifically in the sound effects and many of his shots. On wiki.tarantino.info, there's a whole index of Kill Bill references guide from the Japanese film universe, where it lists all the different movies he has taken things from, like fight sequences and shots and different things he liked, and put it in his movie as well. As you can tell now, the music in the scene is no longer there, leaving only the dialogue and the sound effects. This was put in for our attention to be focused on those two things, the dialogue and the sound effects. The only dialogue in the scene is the Crazy 88 gang screaming and running down the stairs, while the sound effects in the scene is of the swords and of them running down the stairs, the stomping down the stairs. This was added, I think, to focus our attention on those characters exactly, to focus on the Crazy 88 running down the stairs and of the bride getting ready to fight them. This beautiful shot by Tarantino certainly gives us a different view of the fight that we haven't seen in the film yet from under the stairs, which is very cool. In addition, many of the sound effects added are the slicing of the different members, and one of the most interesting things is the ringing of the sword is added too. And you even see the bride stop the ringing with her hand, showing a little continuity with the sounds and the picture. Now, I found this 10-second segment interesting because Tarantino and Coen did something they haven't done throughout the scene, and that's put little to no music or sound effects. It almost creates the same effect that putting a lot of music or sound effects in does. It intensifies the scene. It almost feels like the calm before the storm, as the two men come down the stairs to try to fight the bride. Now, the first half of that little segment we just saw was very chaotic with them running down the stairs and a little bit of yelling, but is nicely contrasted by the second half of the clip that's very silent and has a very dynamic shot in it. Alright, well that's the last part of the film I'm going to analyze for this project, but let's look at it a little more. This scene has a lot of sound effects and a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of yelling. The whole point of this is to shift the audience's attention to what exactly is making that sound. If Tarantino and Coen want your attention on the bride moving backwards, he'll make sure the only sound in that scene will be the footsteps moving backwards on the hardwood floor. If he wants your attention on the sword stabbing someone, he'll make that the only sound going on. Tarantino and Coen do a very good job throughout this whole scene and this particular little segment we're looking at of shifting the audience's attention to what they exactly want them to look at. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for sticking around with me and joining and watching one of my favorite films of all time by Quentin Tarantino. Coen's sound design in this film is simply amazing. and the soundtrack to the film is certainly one that should be listened to on repeat. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed.